the Women Unleashed podcast. Join us as we share with you the fun, confronting, wild, fucked up, epic, and raw side of being a woman in today's world. Nothing is off limits. Allow yourself to be inspired to be unleashed. Welcome to the Women Unleashed podcast again. You have Britt and Taylor. We are your hosts. And today we have had a special request.
Yes, we have.
Yes, we have. To talk more in the area of Taylor's expertise and to do an episode on refinancing. So first of all, shout out to you, Lacey. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks you.
Thanks for making this special request of us. We love delivering what our listeners want to hear.
Yeah. So if anybody else has any more requests, please
Yes.
reach out.
Come on down. So yes, and when I said refinancing, Taylor, you said, let's do debt consolidation as well. Mm-hmm. So can you explain the difference?
Sure. And just like a pre-warning for compliance, obviously this is general advice. If you want more specific advice, we'd have to have a chat. You'd maybe even chat to a financial planner as well. So this is just, broad advice. And so refinancing is basically where you've already got a home loan with Bank A and you want to look at moving your home loan to Bank B. And it can be for many reasons. So it could be for a lower rate, could be to reduce your payment. So a lower rate to reduce your payments. Mm-hmm. It could be that maybe you want to stay on interest only.
Okay, so like your current loan is flipping over to a fixed rate and you don't want to go to the fixed.
So it's switching to a principal and interest repayment. So it might be an investment.
Sorry. Yeah,
no,
I wasn't listening.
Right. It's okay. So it might be an investment property and it's on interest only repayments.
Yep.
And you want to switch it to and it's going to fall off that interest only.
Yep.
To switch to P&I, but you want to get back on interest only.
Okay, yep.
So you can look to internally refinance, which is where you stay with the same bank. Mm-hmm. But generally, you probably want to look at other options as there might be better options.
Okay. Yep.
And then another reason would be you might want some cash out to do like renos. Or you might want to debt consolidate. Mm-hmm. So that's where you've got personal debt, so not home loan debt. So you might have credit cards, car loans, personal loans, any other sort of debt that you can find.
Like zip pay,
yeah.
Whatever.
Just those, really the debts that aren't doing any benefit for you. We might want to consolidate them into the home loan so that you've got a lower rate.
Okay. Yep.
And another reason is separation. So, if one person's buying out the other, things like that. Mm-hmm. Or maybe you've got yourself in a real pickle and we need to look at sorting your stuff out.
A pickle that we've not mentioned already.
Yeah, so most of that would consider debt consolidation and things like that. But I want to talk about debt consolidation a bit more in a bit more detail. But there were the reasons you would look at refinancing, and it's when you've already got a home loan.
Okay, cool. So I'm Britt. I've got a home loan. I don't, but I'm going to be for this episode. What is the first step I take after I decide I want to refinance?
Well, you'd want to speak to a mortgage broker or the lender directly. Personally, I'd pick a mortgage broker just because we have more options. Mm-hmm. And sometimes your position does not fit into, every bank's box. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So the first thing we would really do is we'd have a chat about like what your goals are for refinancing, what you're trying to achieve. And then I'd probably do evaluation. That would probably be my first step.
Of the property?
Yeah. So that's where, now this is dependent on your loan to value ratio. Mm-hmm. So how much you owe compared to the value of the property as a percentage, right? Yeah. Now refinancing, unless you're in a position where like it's detrimental, so like a separation, or you need to debt consolidate because you're struggling to make ends meet, you'd want to keep the loan to value ratio at 80%.
Okay.
And the reason being is you don't want to pay lender's mortgage insurance again.
Again?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
So if you paid it the first time you bought the house,
yeah,
and if you refinance and you're over 80, you'd have to pay it again at the new.
Oh, wow. Right.
Yeah. So that's a fee that you probably don't want to add to your loan again, and you don't want to pay interest on again.
You'd be paying LMI twice.
Correct.
Because you pay it up front for the life of your loan, right?
Yeah. So it gets added to your loan in general. So we want to try and keep it at 80. So that's why we do evaluation where they'd either come out to the property and a valuer would come out and then provide a report, or you can do a desktop, which is where they don't come out. They just use like comparable sales or, latest information. And evaluation is basically where they look at the last 6 months of sales in the area and compare what you're saying the property's worth to what they're seeing in the market.
Okay.
And provide a report and comments around, why they believe that is the value of the property.
Okay. Yeah.
So that would be our first step to see if it's even viable to do a refinance or if it's just going to cost you more money and maybe it's good to just wait off another couple of months or a year or something.
To get that extra equity up to the 80%, so the 20%.
Yeah. So what you can do, so let's say the valuation comes in short or, we're just not over that 80% and the only reason you wanted to refinance was to get a better rate to lower your repayments. What we can do is actually reprice your loan with your current bank.
Okay.
So that's where we go to the bank and say, hey, like, can you do this, this loyal client a better offer? Or they are looking to leave. And that means we can get you a better rate without moving you.
Oh, so you can pull the old barefoot investor on them.
100%. So if you've got a home loan right now, you should call your bank and ask them. Especially at the moment, we're in a rising market, interest rates are rising. We've had 3 or I think nearly 5 interest rate rises. And, not everyone's actually seen the impact of them yet because they take a few months to actually kick in. So if you are someone who hasn't spoken to a broker yet or haven't been to your bank in a long time, give them a call and ask them for a rate reduction. And then you don't even have to move banks.
Cool. And you could have your mortgage broker deal with that conversation with the bank themselves.
100%. So
you don't have to do it yourself.
Yes. So if you'd feel more confident with someone like myself dealing with it, we can definitely do that for you.
Yeah. Or you could just follow the Barefoot Investor script that has you just ring them up yourself and feel really cool and empowered about it.
100%. So it doesn't hurt to give them a call and ask the question.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So that's a little tip.
So
refinance. So what's your next question?
What is my next question? I know. Well, what were you going to tell us about refinancing after this?
The other thing I will explain that's super important to recognize is that if we're at an 80% LVR or loan to value ratio, so when I say LVR, it means loan to value ratio. If we're at that 80% mark and it all works out and servicing, your affordability, so you can afford to move banks, blah, 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 we want to just look at your term. So you may have had your home loan for 4 years already. So it's 26 years you've got left. Sorry, yeah. 26 years you've got left. Because normal home loan terms are 30, right?
Yeah.
So you've got 26 left. Now, if we refinance you back to 30 years, we're adding that extra 4 years worth of interest back onto your loan. Right? So it's important to recognise that in some cases, you don't really have an option. When you refinance, you have to take it back to 30 years because you can't afford to do the loan over 26.
Right. Okay.
So it's just important to keep in mind. If you can afford to, we would put it to 26 years. So we're keeping the same term. But most of the time, and I would say with the current market, you're going to have to put it back over 30.
Okay.
So, but
that could work in your favour too, though.
100%. But I'm just saying it's important to recognise because some people don't think about that or realise that. The other thing, though, you can do is, obviously if you're trying to lower your repayments, this doesn't really fit with that, but you can make extra repayments to keep that same term, which we can work out together as your broker.
What does that look like?
So it might just be paying an extra $100 a month. And you keep the 26 years.
Yep. Okay.
But technically it's over 30, if that makes sense.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Yep. That does make sense. Interesting. So after we've gone through the process and selected, I guess you're going to tell them what offers are on the market, which one works for them best.
Correct.
One thing I want to go back to is, how in our original series we talked about whether you're ready to be able to take a loan out, what are your spending habits looking like? Is there anything to be conscious of, like when you come to refinance, about how you have been spending?
Yeah, so very similar. It's the same. Obviously watching your spending, your bank statements, what do they look like? Are you being a lot of recreational spending? Obviously there are things we can mitigate. So if you've been on a holiday, obviously you're not going on a holiday every month. So we can mitigate that and say, that was extra expenses that it won't occur as regularly.
Yeah.
Or Christmas and things like that. But it's very similar, looking at that. Obviously, you don't need to have heaps of savings, because we're not you don't need to put any money into it in most cases.
It's already in the house.
Yeah. But it is, it's very important to make sure you are making your repayments on time to your bank. And if you're debt consolidating, making sure you've made your repayments on time to your other banks, your credit cards and personal loans.
Okay. Yep.
So, and the reason, and you're not over limit. So you're not over the limit.
Yep.
The reason being is, we can mitigate again 1 or 2 late payments here and there. But if you are constantly late, it means you would have to go to like a non-prime lender. So that's where your rate's impacted.
Yep.
So you're gonna have to pay a higher rate. Now sometimes that's okay. It is okay because it might get you out of that sticky situation where you've got too many debts and you're struggling to pay them and it's all just too much and they're at really high interest rates and things like that. So that's fine. And those lenders are perfect for short-term solutions. And we can get you in that loan, say for a year, get you all cleaned up, and then we can look at moving you again.
Cool.
If you need to, or look at asking for a rate reduction.
Yeah.
So I just had a client recently, due to their circumstances when they bought the home, we had to go like on a non-prime lender. And their rate was with the rate increases like 7%.
Oh.
So, ouch, it hurts. And that was unfortunately because of their position.
Yeah.
But we've gone back. Now that they've been with them for a while, their situation's changed slightly. We haven't moved lenders. We've just changed product. We've got them like a 3% rate decrease.
Whoa, that's almost half what they were paying.
100%. So, sometimes those lenders are perfect for that short term to get you what you need. Yeah. And then we can rework it and look at, hey, like, what do we need to do next?
Oh, so cool.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. Sometimes you might have to suffer or deal with, a higher rate for a short term, but it works out.
Yeah. You're like the doctor for finances. It's come to us, we'll sort you out, we'll clean you up, patch you up, and then once those things heal, come back, we'll get you a better one. And yeah, that's so cool.
Well, yeah, because it's important to know that, like, if you've got a default or, you've been missing your payments or things just haven't been going well financially for you, doesn't mean you can't find your solution.
Yeah.
And that's the same with buying a home, not just refinancing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, both situations.
Sometimes you might have to wait if you're buying a home. We might have to go, hey, 6 months. We need 6 months. Clean up your stuff. Do this, do that. Then we can look at it. But yeah, it's important to know, like, just actually ask someone rather than just assuming you can't do it.
Yeah. Don't be in your head about it or think you know everything about it.
Yeah. And the other thing I want to touch on with debt consolidation, which is great because it goes into the home loan. And it means, you're getting, I think average rates now like 4 to 5%. So, you're getting that rather than your 11% on your credit card. Yeah. And that's if you're not paying it off every month. So that means you've unfortunately racked it up. And, you're at limit.
Yep.
So, and that is very hard to pay off if you're only paying the minimum repayment.
Nuts.
So consolidating, it's great. However, again, you're going to put that debt over 30 years. So, that, say, $50,000 in personal debt, it's going to go onto your home loan and be over 30 years.
Yeah.
What? Oh, sorry.
I just want to say something there. Like, say you've got personal debt. This is going to be a bit of a reality check for our listeners. Some of them, not everyone. If you've got a personal debt because, I don't know, like you had to get your eyelashes done.
You went on holiday.
Or, holiday, lip filler, like there's nothing wrong with that. Or you needed like a new outfit because you didn't want to double wear another one. And you then go and consolidate that debt, you're paying it back for the next 30 years. Yeah. So think about how long your eyelashes last for. Taylor, how long do they last for usually?
3 weeks.
3 weeks. And you're going to pay for them for 30 years.
That's a very good point.
Yes.
But, yeah, so, yes. So I'm not going to...
Enough said.
So to me, that just means you're not managing your cash flow. And you're overspending. Yes. And you're overspending what you're earning. So that would be a perfect time to look at your budget and find out where you're going wrong.
Yes.
Now, budgeting is not just about numbers. I'm not going to get into it, but it is about your mindset around money as well. Yep. So sometimes reaching out for advice from experts might be a good idea if you are struggling. We can obviously help, but sometimes there's like money coaches and things like that that are probably more specific.
Yes.
And I would suggest, or a financial planner, having a chat with them, because obviously your budgeting is based on your values and your goals. So not everyone wants to buy a house, and that's cool. But you might be in something, investing or doing something else.
Yes. And looking at your finances is a really good way to look at what you really what your values are versus what you think they are.
Because where you spend your money is generally what you value.
Where you what?
What you value.
Yes. Yeah. So if yours is like alcohol, cigarettes, drugs, what else? Food. Food. Clothing, hookers.
Really things that aren't going to make you money in the long term.
Look, they're okay. Like, there's nothing wrong about them. But just if you choose to spend lots of your money on them, just get that that's what you value. Like, don't make it wrong. Don't get all moralistic. It's like, oh, my bank statement is actually telling me what I value. Because that's a reflection of my actions, not what I say I'm going to do.
Yeah, so sometimes doing like a printout of 3 months worth of statements and going through that and like highlighting what you spend your money on and actually working out, hey, I'm spending $500 on Uber Eats or, whatever it is, working that out can be really good.
Yeah, mine says I really value Coles.
Yeah. Food.
Lots of food.
I've also found too, like, for discipline, I like having my savings with another bank without a card.
So you don't see them. Yeah, and you can't.
So I can still access it online, but I just transfer it to a different bank. I have no card, and then I have my spending with another bank. And I just find that really good for me. And it works, and it means I can save.
Yeah. Awesome.
So, that's just a little tip. But back to debt.
Yeah, we've segued, but I think it was valuable. Yeah.
But back to debt consolidation. So if you consolidate your debt and add it straight onto the home loan, you're putting it over 30 years. Right, rather than generally the 5-year term that like your personal loans and stuff are. What you can do is you can do a separate split. So what that means is you've got, say, your main home loan for $400,000 as one loan, and then you've got your second home loan, say, for $50,000 to cover all that debt, right? And that second loan you might actually do over 5 years, but at that 4%.
Ooh, that sounds attractive.
Yeah, same with if you, say, wanted to buy a car. You could do it over 5 years rather than trying to do it. Again, though, it depends on how much you can afford. So your affordability, when people talk about affordability, servicing, all that, that's basically making sure like your income can cover your debt.
Yes. Yep.
And there's lots of things, because when the banks are looking at your servicing or your affordability, they don't just set it at, say, the 4% they're offering. They actually buffer it by 2.5%. So they're actually assessing you at 6.5%.
Yeah. Can you manage that? Yeah.
So, and the other thing I want to make really clear is some people get this confused because they're like, I have heaps of equity. I own an $800,000 home and I only own $400,000. And that is amazing and good on you because you've got equity, and if you sold and, you've got an asset there, right?
Yeah.
It does not mean you can get a loan.
Why not?
Because you've got to afford service it.
Yeah.
You've got to have the affordability.
So if you can't service the refinanced loan, you don't get it.
No, it doesn't matter how much money you've got in equity.
Interesting.
I mean, I think there's like private lenders and like other stuff, but your mainstream, if you can't afford it, we can't do it.
Okay.
In general cases, don't get me wrong, we will look for solutions, and there's lots of bank out there. It might be highly unlikely.
Yeah.
But some people do get confused that, because they've got assets or equity, that's all they need. You also need the income.
Yep, to service it.
To work it out.
Wow.
So,
and I mean, if you didn't have the income to service it, one would think like, well, how are you servicing your current loan? But yeah, you could, who knows.
But things change, you might have a baby and go on maternity leave. You might have lost your job during COVID. Your house might have been, there's so many reasons.
Yeah.
And again, that would be a discussion of like what we need to do to get you to where you need to be.
Yeah.
But again, ask your bank for a rate reduction without having to move first. Sometimes
or ask your broker.
Or ask your broker. Yes.
Cool. So you refinance. What are the costs of like refinancing mortgages? So you get new mortgage stocks, all that sort of stuff.
So generally, I put about $1,000 in.
Okay.
Now that might be a bit much, but I think covers you. So you'll have a discharge fee if you're on a variable rate of $350 generally. If
Is
you're
that regulated, that fee?
It's pretty much across the board.
Okay. Yeah.
That's just what they charge because for the paperwork, discharge paperwork. But if you're on a fixed rate and you break it before the fixed period ends, so say you've got a 3-year fixed rate and you break it at 2 years, you may have extra costs with that called a break cost. Say in this market, rates were super low, so you probably won't, but you might. It's something to think about.
Yeah. So
you've got to add that onto it. And then you've got costs with the new lender. So you've got like a mortgage registration fee of $198 per property. You might have an application fee. You might have an annual fee, which is generally $395. So that's why $1,000 generally covers it. But again, you can put it into the home loan or you can pay it up front. So again, if it goes onto the home loan, you're paying interest on that. Just something to think about. There is banks too doing cashbacks.
What is that?
So sometimes some banks are, if you refinance your loan and it fits their criteria, so it might have to be a $500,000 loan on an owner-occupied property at P&I repayments, let's just say, you can get like $2,000 from the bank for refinancing.
Whoa.
Some are doing like $4,000.
Whoa. They are really after your business, aren't they?
Yes, they are, but it also creates people churning, which is where they like every 3 months go to a new lender. Yeah. Which is not always great for
like getting bonus points and credit cards.
Yes. So, cashbacks can be really good.
Sorry, and you were just about to say, is that not good for your credit score if you go around to different...
Churning, it's not great. I don't think it's great for your credit score because you've got lots of inquiries and things.
Okay.
It also is probably costing you money. I don't know. I just don't think it's...
Yeah, if it's $1,000 a pop.
As a broker, our income is based on you having that loan for 2 years. And if you don't have that loan for 2 years, we lose our commission.
Right.
So what we earn on your home loan gets taken back off us.
Oh, no.
So if you refinance within 2 years or sell your property or whatever. Wow. So we understand it happens. Yeah. So, it's part of the business. But for us, if you're refinancing every 3 months, we just aren't making any money.
Yeah, and doing all the work.
And it can be a lot of work sometimes.
Yeah.
And it doesn't look like, but there's a lot, a lot of compliance. Best interest duty came out. It's a lot of paperwork that we have to do to make sure that we are compliant with offering your product.
Yep.
So, that's sometimes brokers probably won't want to work with you if you're churning constantly as well.
Yeah, you could find yourself brokerless rather than broke. I stuffed it up. Totally.
But that's just my opinion. But yeah, it's not great business for us if people just churn every couple of months for a cashback. Yep. But if you're looking to stay and you're happy with that bank, obviously getting $3,000 to refinance is phenomenal.
Awesome. Yay! Alrighty. Well, I think hopefully we've answered any of the questions that you had, Lacey. And if you have more, let us know.
Yes, please. Yeah, cool. Well, thank you all for listening. We really appreciate it. We hope that if you've got a home loan or looking to get a home loan, you actually get something out of this and you have a chat with your friends about, finance. Talk about money. People are so funny about talking about money.
Talk about money. We hope we've inspired you to talk about money.
Talk about your money. And obviously, please reach out to myself.
Not me.
In this case, if you have any, if you want to look at your home loan or anything like that, please, contact us via Instagram. I also have my Instagram, which is, I think it's Taylor@Mab or something. We'll put it in the show notes anyway. But please, so contact us if you need anything. And our goal is to reach as many people as possible. So the more you share and talk to people about our content, we really appreciate it so that we grow organically, because we want to be the #1 women empowerment podcast in Australia. So thank you. Leave a review, subscribe.
Bye for now.
Bye.